Hello everyone. This is part 7 video on past year NEET questions from the chapter hydrocarbons. We'll start with a question that has come in the year 1998. Which one of these is not compatible with arenes? So what are arenes? Arenes are basically, we have different types of arenes we can look at. One is the monocyclic arenes, which will be the benzene derivatives. We have toluene, xylene, then ethyl benzene, styrene. We have polycyclic, the aromatic hydrocarbons, which will be biphenyl, diphenyl methane, and then stilbene, or we even have the linear fusion of aromatic rings, which will be naphthalene, anthracene, okay, naphthacene. So all of them, they will have aromaticity, which means they will be having delocalization of the pi electrons, and they also will satisfy the Huckel rule. And the delocalization of pi electrons is what will result in the exhibition of the resonance phenomena that gives greater stability for these compounds. And though they have double bonds, unlike normal alkenes, they will undergo electrophilic addition reaction. Alkenes will undergo electrophilic addition reaction, where the pi bond will be broken, and we will add the respective groups to the carbons involved in the double bond. So this addition reaction is a characteristic property of the alkenes as well as alkynes also. But here, because of the resonance stabilization, the double bonds would not get added. So the addition reaction cannot happen over these double bonds, because that will remove the resonance phenomena, and that will lead to a lesser stability of the overall substance. So though they have double bond, because of the existence of resonance, the electrophilic addition cannot happen over the double bonds. In fact, that's the reason why they will show electrophilic substitution reactions. So the one that is not compatible is electrophilic addition. They will not be able to show electrophilic addition reactions like benzene and benzene derivatives, which is what we'll focus. So we will not look at the reactions of all the arenes, but we will mainly focus on the reactions of benzene and benzene derivatives. They will be showing electrophilic substitution reactions and not electrophilic addition reactions. So the correct answer for this is option A. Electrophilic addition is not compatible with the arenes. Then we have a question in 1998. 2-bromopentane is heated with potassium ethoxide. So what is potassium ethoxide? C2H5OK. This is potassium ethoxide. And 2-bromopentane means a 5-membered chain. Second carbon, we have bromine. So we can add the respective number of hydrogens. Here there will be 1 hydrogen. Here there will be 2 hydrogens. Here there will be 2 hydrogens. Here there will be 3 hydrogens. This is 2-bromopentane. And for this we are adding the potassium ethoxide in the presence of ethanol. Okay. So the reaction that is going to happen is dehydrohalogenation. So the reaction that will be happening, so if we have either potassium hydroxide in the presence of alcoholic, so alcoholic KOH, that is the reagent for the dehydrohalogenation. Similarly, we have potassium ethoxide in the presence of alcohol, that is also dehydrohalogenating agent. Now, if the halogen is removed from carbon, so let us number the carbons as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because that is how the numbering is given. Okay. Now, if bromine is removed from the carbon 2, then there are chances of hydrogen getting removed from carbon 1 or carbon 3. If hydrogen is removed from carbon 1, we would be getting CH2 double bond, CH, CH2, CH2, CH3. We will get the 1-pentene. If the hydrogen is removed from the carbon 3, we would be getting CH3, CH double bond, CH, CH2, CH3. We will get pentoene. Now between these two, we have the possibility of getting 1-pentene as well as 2-pentene. Between these two, as per the Saint-Jeff's rule, the more substituted alkene will be the 2-pentene. So 2-pentene, the double bond carbons have two groups. One is on side methyl group, other side ethyl group. Whereas here in case of 1-pentene, it is less substituted. So which is more substituted? We can also analyze this based upon the number of hydrogens present on the alpha carbons. So here if you look at the alpha carbons, right, in case of 2-pentene, this is alpha carbon, this is also alpha carbon. Alpha carbon is the carbon that is directly bonded to double bond carbons. Okay, so here we have alpha carbon having 3 hydrogens, 2 hydrogens, totally 5 alpha hydrogens. More number of alpha hydrogens, more will be the hyperconjugation structures we can draw for the alkene, and that is what will be the stable alkene. Here we can see only one alpha carbon is there, that is having 2 hydrogens, means we have 2 alpha hydrogens. So we have only 2 hyperconjugation structures. So based on that, the 2-pentene will be stable. So whenever we have the elimination, beta elimination reactions, so we call them as what? Beta elimination reactions. Whenever there is a beta elimination reaction, because the carbon that is directly bonded to the bromine will, let's say we call it as alpha, then this will be the what? Beta. Okay, so the beta elimination reaction, the major product will be determined based upon the Saint-Just rule. So here what we see is 2-pentene will be formed in major proportion. So whenever we perform this reaction, 2-pentene is going to be formed in the major proportion. So we have 2-pentene, then we have KBr, and also we'll have C2H5OH. Okay. Now the thing is, if we look at the options given to us, we have both trans 2-pentene as well as cis 2-pentene. So the question is between the two, because the pentene, 2-pentene can be in the cis form as well as in the trans form. Between these two, which will be in the major amount. So if you look at the trans pentene, right, will be a more stable one than the cis, because in case of trans compound, not just the case of pentene, but any compound, so the trans form will have less repulsion between the bulkier groups, because the bulkier groups will be on the opposing side, and hence the trans form is going to be relatively stable. And since the trans form is going to be relatively stable one, we will see that between the cis and trans, the composition of the trans will be higher because of the extra stability of the trans form. And generally looking at it, right, the elimination can proceed either through the E1 mechanism or E2 mechanism. So in E1 mechanism, first what would happen is the halogen would leave from the carbon to which it is attached, and the formation of a carbocation will happen, and once the cation is formed, then the hydrogen bond is going to be, the carbon hydrogen bond of the adjacent carbon is going to be broken. So here even it is called because in the formation of the carbocation we have only the original reagent being involved, but in case of the E2 elimination we will have both the original reagent as well as the nucleophile substance that will take the H plus. The nucleophile has to take the H plus. So the reagents, both of them will be involved in the rate determining step. That's why we call it as E2 elimination. So either this is a mechanism, either the E1 or E2 mechanism can achieve the formation of the alkene. So the beta elimination reaction, whether it is the elimination, dehydrohalogenation, or the dehydration reaction, all of them they can follow either E1 mechanism or E2 mechanism. So, but the answer for this is the more stable form of the 2-pentene, which is the trans, is going to be the one that will be obtained as a major product. So first we were concluding between 1-pentene and 2-pentene. Saint-Just rule, based on that, more substituted alkene is 2-pentene. So 2-pentene will be the major. Within 2-pentene we have two geometrical isomers, cis and trans. Trans is going to be the major one. Next we have a question in 1997, straight question. Which of the following reaction is expected to readily give a hydrocarbon product in good yields? So if you look at option C, what is this? Electrolysis of potassium salt of carboxylic acid. Electrolysis of sodium or potassium salt of carboxylic acids is what we call as the Kolb's electrolysis, and the carboxylate ion will move towards the anode, because anions will move towards the anode in the electrolysis. Okay, so anions will be what? The cathode will be negative, cations will move towards the cathode. Why? Because cathode is negative. Anions will move towards the anode because anode is actually positive during the electrolysis. Okay, now at anode the carboxylate ion will lose electrons, to form the alkyl radical, and two alkyl radicals will combine to form an alkene with a higher number of carbons. So Kolb's electrolysis will be able to, because it is an reaction which is achieved by passing of current, we will be able to have good yields of the alkane. So the correct answer for this is option C, which is Kolb's electrolysis. And the other ones, right, they are not much relevant, because we can see in option A what is happening. It is the free radical substitution reaction. So alkane is getting substituted with chlorines. Similarly, in option B we see that there is an nucleophile substitution reaction, etc. And only option C is where we have the formation of alkane through the Kolb's electrolysis. Next we have another question in 1997. In the reaction CH2 double bond CH2 hypochlorous acid. What is hypochlorous acid? HOCl. Okay, that is giving product M. So first step is what? Addition product. So if you look at it, right, what is going to happen? HOCl will dissociate into OH minus and Cl plus. So to one carbon we will be attaching the Cl, and to the other carbon we will attach the OH when there is an addition. So what will be the product of the first step? The product of the first step is going to be CH2Cl, CH2OH. So that must be the compound M. So clearly, by arriving at compound M itself, we are able to find out what is the correct answer. So in this question, what we have to do? For M, we are using a reagent R and getting 1,2 ethane diol. So 1,2 ethane diol is coming by treating M with the reagent R. So here we need to find what is M and what is R. So first step itself we are able to see what is our M. So M is what? CH2Cl, CH2OH. So where is it coming? It is coming in option D. And the reagent R is aqueous sodium hydrogen carbonate. Generally sodium hydrogen carbonate is amphoteric in nature, and it will be able to have the nucleophile chlorine replaced with OH. So the nucleophilic substitution reaction is what is going to happen to replace the Cl minus with OH minus in the presence of aqueous sodium hydrogen carbonate. So the correct answer for this is option D. Next we have a question in 1997. The cylindrical shape of an alkyne is due to. So if you look at alkyne, in general, let's talk about ethane. So if you talk about ethane, right, so we have two carbons. There will be a carbon-carbon sigma bond. We can see, and there will be a carbon-hydrogen sigma bond with each of the carbons. So this side we'll have a carbon-hydrogen sigma bond. This side, each carbon will be sp hybridized. Each carbon will be sp hybridized. We are talking about particularly the ethane. Okay, and the remaining two p orbitals. Let's say, for example, the py of this carbon and py of this carbon, then pz of this carbon and pz of this carbon. So they would have a sidewise overlap. Like say, for example, if the py are having an overlap like this, then pz will have an overlap like this. Okay, so what we see is the net there is going to be a formation of a cylindrical type of an electron cloud. So cylindrical type of electron cloud is formed due to the existence of one carbon-carbon sigma bond and two carbon-carbon pi bonds. The correct answer for this is option B. So we have one carbon-carbon sigma bond and two carbon-carbon pi bonds. Next we have another question in 1997. In the commercial gasolines, the type of hydrocarbons which are more desirable is. So if you look at the options, it's a very standard question. Option A is saying linear unsaturated hydrocarbon. Option B is saying toluene. Option C is saying branched hydrocarbon. Option D is saying straight chain hydrocarbon. So generally in the commercial gasoline varieties, the branched hydrocarbons will be preferred, because a branched hydrocarbon will be able to have what we call as a high octane number. Okay, so what is the high octane number? We'll look into it, but high octane number generally will represent that it is going to be a good fuel. So octane number basically represents how much compression can be done for the fuel. Okay, before detonating, how much compression the fuel can actually withstand. Okay, so high octane number means more compression it can withstand. and hence more power you can derive out of the combustion. So if you look at the octane number as a method of comparing the efficiency of the fuels, the isooctane, so the compound we see here is isooctane. Isooctane is taken as a reference with an octane number of 100, and based on that the other gasoline varieties, they have been given the respective octane numbers, and generally the branched ones, they will have a higher octane number. Okay, so the correct answer for this is branched ones are more desirable because they'll have high octane numbers. Generally for the gasolines we'll use octane number, and for the diesel we'll be using another number called as the cetane number. Okay, so we'll go on to the next question. This is a question that has come in the year 1997. Among the compounds 1, 2 and 3, the correct reaction order with electrophile is, means we have to find out which will easily react with electrophile and which will be the least reactive with electrophile. So here compound 2 is benzene. So benzene we'll take it as what? The reference. Benzene is taken as what? The reference. Okay. If we have OCH3 group, this is anisole. Okay, and this is nitrobenzene. Okay, so in case of nitrobenzene, NO2 group, which is a minus R group, is attached to the benzene ring. So NO2 group, what it does, it will withdraw the electron cloud from the ring. So based upon the minus R effect of the NO2 group, what we see is that the ortho para positions will actually become electron deficit. So when we draw the resonance structures, we will be able to understand that. So for all the minus R effect groups, the ortho para positions will become electron deficit. So the electron cloud on the benzene ring will be lesser for the nitrobenzene case than the reference, which is the benzene itself, because the electron cloud is being withdrawn by the minus R effect NO2 group. So the activity of benzene will be reduced. So nitrobenzene, since the electrophilic substitution reactions, they depend upon how much electron density is available on the benzene ring. So nitrobenzene will in fact be less reactive. It will be less reactive than the benzene itself. Okay. So whereas if you look at anisole, so the OCH3 group has got oxygen. Oxygen is having a lone pair of electrons. And normally in case of phenol also we'll have the same phenomena, but the advantage in case of anisole is we have a CH3 group also attached to oxygen. So CH3 group will show what? It will show plus I effect. So the oxygen will have a more electron density that can be easily donated towards the benzene ring. So the OCH3 group will show a plus R effect, and based upon the resonance structures, the ortho and para positions will become electron rich. So in fact, the reactivity of anisole will be more than that of the reactivity of the phenol for the plus I effect of the methyl group attached to oxygen. Okay, so here we don't have methyl group, we have just hydrogen. So the plus R effect of OCH3 group will increase the reactivity of the anisole. So which means the correct order is going to be what? 1 will be more reactive than 2, which is the reference benzene, and the nitrobenzene will be having a lesser reactivity than the benzene itself. So here it is a deactivating, nitro group is deactivating the ring. So the correct answer for this is 1 more than 2 more than 3. Generally, whenever we have a plus R group, the reactivity of the benzene ring will be enhanced. Minus R group, the reactivity of the benzene ring will be reduced, except one exception. Okay, so the halogens, whether it is a chlorine, bromine, iodine, they show plus R effect because they have lone pair of electrons, but they also show minus I effect because of their high electronegativity. And only in this case, the electronegativity will be a dominating effect than the resonance. Generally, the resonance will be a dominating phenomena than inductive effect, but only in the case of the halogens, inductive effect is going to be more dominating phenomena than resonance. As a result of it, the halogens, when they are attached to the benzene ring, the halogens show plus R effect, but the ring will be deactivated because here along with the plus R they also show minus I effect, means withdrawing effect as per the inductive phenomena, and the inductive effect will be the dominating one. So, but for this question, the correct answer is option A. Anisole will be more reactive than benzene than nitrobenzene. Next, we have a rather straight question. The electrophile in the case of chlorination of benzene in the presence of FeCl3. So, what is the chlorination of benzene in the presence of FeCl3? So, we have Cl2 which will react with the Lewis acid FeCl3 to produce FeCl4 minus and Cl plus. The Cl plus is what is going to attack onto the benzene ring. So, this is the incoming electrophile. So, the electrophilic substitution, right, that will happen is because of the Cl plus. The correct answer is option C. Next, we have another straight question, 1996. The reaction propene reacting with HBr to produce 2-bromopropane. So here, if you look at it, it is an addition reaction. So straight away, right, the case of A is out. So it has to be either B or C or D. And alkenes will undergo electrophilic addition reactions or free radical addition reactions. Generally, if you look at the addition reactions of alkenes, they will undergo electrophilic addition reactions. That is the general kind of an addition that the alkenes will show. Here, if you look at it, right, normally the addition of HX to the alkenes will follow the Markovnikov rule if we have the addition happening as per the electrophilic addition mechanism. What is the Markovnikov rule? Hydrogen goes to the carbon that is having more hydrogens and the halogen will go to the other carbon. So if you look at the product also, right, what is the product getting formed? So here the hydrogen is coming to the, let's say carbon 1, the hydrogen is coming and carbon 2, the bromine is going. That is why the addition is happening. So this is the Markovnikov product, which means what? The addition must be happening in the electrophilic addition mechanism. If the addition is happening, especially for HBr in the presence of peroxide, if you use peroxide, right, then we will get not 2-bromopropane, but we rather get 1-bromopropane. That will be the anti-Markovnikov product. So that will come when we have the reaction happening in the presence of peroxide, and that will follow the free radical addition mechanism. But here, since the product is a Markovnikov product, the mechanism must be what? It must be electrophilic addition reaction. So I'll just erase this part so that we will be able to see the steps involved. So first in the electrophilic addition reaction, what must be happening? The HBr will dissociate to form H plus and Br minus, and the first H plus will be added. That's why it is called as electrophilic addition reaction. Then the second step, the Br minus will be getting added to the other carbon. Okay, so this is what is the mechanism that will be involved in the formation of 2-bromopropane, so which is the Markovnikov product. Correct answer for this is option D, which is the electrophilic addition reaction. So this is about this part video, and we will see in the next part.